Hello everyone, my name is Shanae Jones and it is Wednesday at 10 o'clock, which means it is KNKY hour, which stands for Know the New Kinky You. I am Shanae Jones, your resident certified sex coach, and I am here to talk to you about ways to spice up your date night with a little bit of sex. So one of the things that inspired this conversation, so what I want you guys to know is that usually the topics that come about are based off of questions that people ask me or based off of experiences that I've had that I feel perhaps would be relevant that you would want to know about. So, this past weekend, my boyfriend and I, we went on a different type of date. I was looking for something for us to do, and it really was, I don't want to do the same thing. I don't want to go to the movies. I don't want to go to bowling. I just didn't want to do any of that stuff. So I do an internet search. I looked at Google, I looked at Eventbrite, I looked at Groupon, I looked at all kinds of different places to try to figure out what can we do that was a bit different. So, and again, I'm looking in my local area. I live in the DC area, so I'm looking for things to do here. But you can absolutely do all of these things for wherever it is that you live, right? So one of the things that you want to do, especially when you're in a relationship, are find ways to keep things spicy, to keep things interesting, to keep your partner engaged with you, right? So I have a friend who is a sex educator and activist, and she does monthly sip and sketch. The twist on hers, I'm sure you've heard of, paint and sips and things like that. The twist on hers is that her models are nude. So I did not get a chance to attend her event this weekend, but her name is Frenchie Davis, and she is on Instagram actually, and her handle is at libidotalk.com. So if you're interested in finding out more about some of the events that she does, feel free to follow her. But during her events, what you'll find is that, again, you'll have a nude model, you'll have music, you'll have wine, you'll have conversation about sex and the dynamics of sex and sexuality. Sex is not an easy thing for people to talk about. I'm fairly comfortable talking about it. People don't like to divulge a lot of their personal information. You might have questions, but you don't want to be that person to ask the question out loud because you don't want people looking at you or judging you and things like that. So if you go to some of these sex positive environments, you feel less like it's something that you should be shameful of. So as well as making art, what she was able to do is create an environment where people felt comfortable and were able to have the conversations about sex and sexuality. So when you're in a room with people that are all doing the same thing and feeling the same vibe, you're able to create a scenario where the positivity of sex is way more likely to happen. Just like talking with friends. One of the things that we did, so I mentioned this started with my boyfriend and I, we went to a burlesque brunch. Now what this was, and I've never ever been to a burlesque brunch before, but I was willing to be open enough to try it. So we went to a yoga studio in Northwest, and what we found when we walked in was that it was an open space and a bunch of people there. They had some light food and mimosas. They also eventually poured shots because liquor always loosens people up. So this young lady, she's also on Instagram. She's Brown Sugar Comedies. She's a professionally trained dancer, and the people that I'm talking to you about right now, they are African American women who are promoting this positive sexuality. It's just like me. So she was a dancer. She had on this very exotic outfit where it was see-through and you could see her shape really well, and she was a very lovely young lady. And so she would take the couples and help them model basically a striptease. So she would take the partner, the male partner specifically, and dance with him and move around him and touch him, and basically she's teaching the female partner in this example to do and mimic what it is that she was doing. So as she's mimicking, she is creating this energy between the partners. Now, not everybody was coupled up, so she did have ways to alter it so that if you were with somebody that you perhaps didn't know, that instead of going straight down your body like this as a touch, she would let you go across, you know, your shoulders. So I thought it was very interesting. So at the end of the event, or towards the end of the event, after she modeled the way, she allowed us as partners to mimic what she was doing. So I was able to dance around him and he was able to dance around me. And what I found was that even though we were in a room full of people, and especially a room full of strangers, it was very erotic. It was very enticing. So you had a bit of that exhibitionist feeling. You had a bit of that voyeurism where you're watching other people. And so what I thought was super exciting, because, you know, we won a prize. Here's the gift bag that we won, that we were given at the, it wasn't a competition, but that we were given at the end of the experience because we were just so into it. So, you know, trying something like that, trying something like that is something new that you could possibly do. So, what else? Going to a strip club. Now, strip clubs are not uncommon, but, you know, again, living in the DC area, we have some nice strip clubs. Like, you know, you expect to go to Atlanta to go in and you see males and females. It's not like a dark, dusty place where you only see men lurking and leering, although some of them do. You know, you can go to have food, you have dinner, you have some drinks. Usually these clubs have a lot of drink specials and food specials, because their business isn't necessarily focused on the food and the drink that you get. It's really focused on the entertainment value. And so when you're having these conversations with people, and you're engaged in an environment where you see a beautiful woman on a stage performing for you, you know, you can take some of that momentum that you have there at the club and take it back home with you. It's also especially, and tipping and lap dancing, those are not necessarily things that only a male has to experience. You know, women feel comfortable in your sexuality. It doesn't mean that you are a lesbian or bisexual if you have a woman give you a lap dance. It just means that you are enjoying a show and that you're participating in that show. So try to keep that in mind if you choose to go out to a strip club for a date night. You can also go to a toy store for a date night. And when I say toy store, I don't mean Toys R Us. What I mean is going to an adult store that sells vibrators and cock rings and whips and chains and all kinds of goodies that you can then use to spice up your sex life, right? So if you choose to make this a date night, you can, you know, go to the store, talk to the people that work there. They can answer your questions. Don't feel shy. Don't feel intimidated. Don't feel embarrassed. Talk to them. Ask them questions. Figure out what works for you. So if you know how your body responds to sexual stimuli, you can go in and find a toy that is appropriate for you to be able to then bring home and use in your bedroom, your sexual experience, because not everybody has sex in their bedroom. You know, you'll be able to have that dialogue. And while you're actually on the date in the store, try to talk about what you feel your experiences will be. You know, make up stories. Oh baby, when I get home, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. Build up that anticipation, build up that momentum, so that when you get home, you're excited about what it is that you're about to partake in. So locally, again, because I'm trying to do my best to promote local businesses, especially those that are owned by African Americans. And there is a store that actually, her name is Shawnee Hart. Her and her husband own two adult stores, one in Northwest DC and another in Suitland, Maryland. It's called Heart's Desires. So if you're interested in taking a trip for your date night, feel free to go to that adult store and let her know that Shanae sent you. Our names are spelled the same way, we pronounce them differently. All right, but when you're there in the store, remember they have toys for him, toys for her, toys for you both. They have games that you can play. They have lingerie, outfits. They even have kinky stuff if you are trying to explore whips and handcuffs. And some people are uncomfortable with handcuffs. So if that is something that you're uncomfortable with, they have other types of ties that you can use as restraints that are not as overbearing perhaps as handcuffs. So go in, be open, talk about the different things that you can do. Now, in a general Google search, Eventbrite, I mentioned this earlier, Eventbrite, Groupon, you'll find different things that you may be interested in participating in that, again, are just not the norm for your day-to-day date night. So here are some things that I found in the DC area. And please, if you're not local to DC, feel free to do a search. I will help you do a search if you're interested. But I found a smut slam. So what this apparently is an open mic night where you get about 5 minutes, if you are registered to talk, to tell a story about your sexual experiences and the impacts of that on you. And it's just a open dialogue. And for those that choose to participate in the dialogue, you're sharing and expressing with yourself and being open to the people that are around you. But if you choose not to share a story, that doesn't mean that you don't get the benefit of the conversation, what people are talking about, what they're sharing. Is this something that perhaps, oh, I've never heard of this. I'm interested in what this could mean, and I want to incorporate it into my sex life. It could be that, oh, I didn't know that. I thought I was the only person in the world that goes through stuff like this. But I'm glad to know that there are other people out there in the world that experience it. So something like this is something that you could participate in, even if you don't want to actively participate by sharing a story. There are multiple different workshops, and soon, very soon, I'm going to start to develop additional workshops outside of the virtual social media platform. So I launched the business about a year ago, June 9th of last year. June 9th is National Sex Day, and we made June the National Sex Month. We're now into July, so sorry. But what that means is that there are different people, different organizations that put on these workshops that are to help you find information about how to improve your sex life. So here are some that I found in the DC area that are coming up. So next weekend in Alexandria, Virginia, there is a Pleasure Your Partner Oral Sex for Everybody workshop where you are being taught, how to have better skills when it comes to oral sex, right? Something we could all get better at. There's always a trick or a twist or a lip move that you can use and incorporate into your day-to-day. There is also the Battle of the Sexes, which is in Baltimore this weekend. And what this is a conversation between, men and women about sex, love, and relationships. It's just all about what it is that life is about when you are in a relationship with someone. There is the Intro to Sexual Ecstasy Tantra workshop for singles and couples in DC. Now, I am not a Tantra expert. It's not my wheelhouse. But if this was something that I was interested in, I would be like, oh, okay. I always wanted to know more about Tantra. Let me go to this workshop so that I can be around people who are experts, or who, I can ask questions to learn more about. It's all about the experience. It's all about getting to know yourself and things that can help you in your relationship and in your sex lives. There is the last one I'm going to tell you about, which I found was pretty interesting, is the Graphic Sex Project. And per their definition of what this example is, it's a proactive exhibition showcasing the range of human sexuality. It's data visualization with a sexy sizzle. Now, I find this particularly interesting because in the days of technology where, I'm streaming to you live, I got my camera working, so hopefully the picture quality is a lot better than it used to be, so hopefully, yay. there is technology and there's data and there's information that about us as humans and sexual beings that we can present that can be artistic. So if you have nothing to do this weekend, I think it ends July 7th. So if you are in the DC area again and you want to check that out, look at the Graphic Sex Project. Now, the last tidbit that I'm going to offer you guys as a way to kind of incorporate sexiness into a regular date is to go to the movies. But here are the tips, okay? Pick a time and or theater that is not well trafficked. You don't want to go where there's going to be a ton of people. You want to pick a movie that it's on its way out of the theater, so most people that were interested in seeing it probably have already seen it, so you'll probably likely have the theater to yourself, if not almost to yourself. Buy popcorn, lots of butter, and lots of napkins. So hopefully you can see where I'm going with this a little bit. Find an isolated seat, perhaps somewhere near a wall, so you're partially covered, less exposed to the elements and to the surroundings of the people. And then when the lights go down in the movie that you're perhaps not so interested in watching, you can take that opportunity to, explore each other. You can touch each other. You can perhaps perform oral sex. I probably would stay maybe away from a full-blown sexual engagement. If you can get away with it, great. Don't get caught though. I don't want you getting put out of the theater. I don't want you getting locked up. I don't make sure that there are no kids around you while you're doing any of this stuff. Just make sure that you are taking that date night, that movie night, and turning it into something a lot more sexual than it probably normally is for you. Because and it don't make a mess, right? People are used to leaving their popcorn trays and their other stuff around, but please don't make a human mess that somebody else will have to clean up. Okay, so with all of this said, this is my take on how to build a sexiness into your everyday date night type of scenarios. I do this every Wednesday at 10 o'clock on Instagram because as a certified sex coach, and again I want to say certified through Sex Coach University, that my goal is to help individuals and couples have the best sex that they can possibly have. It is one of the few joys in life that we have that is part of our biology. It's something that we do because, one, we're designed to do it, and if we are designed to do it, it should be the best it can possibly be. And as a coach, I want to put you in a position for that to happen. So if anyone ever has any questions, wants information on a free coaching consultation, please send me a direct message and I'll reach out to you and we'll schedule something. I'll send you the details. If there's ever anything you want me to talk about on our live broadcast, please let me know. I'll add it to the calendar of things that we're going to talk about. If you have not yet subscribed to YouTube, please do so. There is a link to YouTube in my Instagram bio. Otherwise, everything across all social media, my website and everything is DOYOUKNKY, which stands for Do You Know the New Kinky You. I am Shanae Jones. Thank you so much for joining. I appreciate you. I will see you here again next Wednesday. Have a good one.